Heather with FeatherBear Designs. Let me move this stool out of my way. I am coming to you guys today with something that has been on my brain for a few months now. Dan and I have talked about it. We talked about how it would be fun to do. Figured you guys might enjoy just watching something. This isn't necessarily going to be a tutorial because I'm going to be following a tutorial. So in celebration today of the great Bob Ross. I'm sure when I say that, most everybody knows who Bob Ross is. Happy little trees, if that needs to ring any bells there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow a Bob Ross tutorial, but I'm going to apply what he's saying to do onto a tumbler. So this could be epic. It could be a total disaster, but we won't know until we get to the end. There's no mistakes, only happy accidents, right? So we'll see what we can do with this. I've been watching Bob Ross tutorials for years. Most recently, I have been combing through them, trying to see which one of his designs would translate nicely onto a tumbler. It's extensive research, you guys, and really, really peaceful research. If you need a minute, if you need to relax and you need to zen, watch a Bob Ross tutorial. It works, I promise. So stay tuned, you guys. I'm going to have a computer set up with the tutorial playing, and I'm just going to follow along and apply what he's saying to do onto a tumbler. I hope you guys enjoy. The first thing I'm going to do is go over a couple supplies with you guys. Like I said, this is not a tutorial, so I don't expect you to recreate what I'm doing, but if you want to follow along with a Bob Ross tutorial yourself, these are the supplies that I'm going to be using for this particular video. Keep in mind that I don't organically remember everything he uses, so I'm going to probably have to add and remove supplies as we go. I'm going to be using a 30-ounce modern curve tumbler from the stainlessdepotcompany.com. I like the soft shape on this, and I think that that'll be beneficial while working on this cup. Now, in the tutorial that he does say the canvas that he's using in this particular one is already primed with black gesso. So I have some black gesso. I know that's backwards, you guys. I'll show it to you when the camera's flipped around. It's heavy gesso in black, and it's from FeatherBear Art Basics. Sorry, I messed that up. Okay, so this I'm going to use to prime the cup, and then I will start the video with the cup already primed. Okay, so I have my heavy gesso in black. I have it put onto this little plastic plate here. I probably will have to add more, but I didn't want it to dry up before I could use it. I took the Modern Curve 30-ounce cup and I lightly sanded it, and then I wiped it down with 100% acetone. That was just to remove any debris that may be on it and any residue that would be left from the sanding. The reason I did a light sanding on it is just so that there's some scuffing on the cup for the paint to adhere to. And I'm literally going to just dip my brush into the heavy gesso, and I'm going to just paint it onto the cup until my cup is completely covered in black. And then I will be back and we will start the tutorial and go over the rest of the supplies. Okay, you guys, so I primed my cup with the heavy gesso in the color black, just like Bob's canvas there. In this tutorial, he does use oil paints at the end. I'm going to have to modify that because I cannot put oil paints onto a tumbler and expect to epoxy them. I'm not saying that it wouldn't work. I'm just saying that I'm not going to invest in an entire set of oil paints that I will only use for a test. How about that? So I'm going to be modifying that, and I'm not sure if I'm going to modify it with pigments here or with acrylic paint, but we'll find out when we get to that step. So the first part of the tutorial, he uses a heavy gesso in white, black, and gray. I have white and black. I will mix some to make gray. He also uses a paper towel. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my paper towels just so I have a few of them handy. And the Selecta size are going to work perfect for this because I don't think I'm going to need big giant paper towels to do a tumbler. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make sure that my paints are opened. That's step number 1, right? And I'm going to put some white here. I'm going to put a little more, well, I'll put a little more black when it's time to use it. First thing he does is use the white. So I can mix a little bit of the black that's there if needed. He uses an assortment of paintbrushes. Sorry. He uses an assortment of paintbrushes and the paper towel. So I'm hoping that I have enough paintbrushes. I have some water over to the side so I can clean my brushes. Right over there. So I can clean my brushes. And we're going to go ahead and get right into this. I'm hoping that I have you guys set up at an angle that makes sense. My testing I did showed that it was. So let's get started and see what we can do with Bob.
I'm glad you could join us today. I thought today I'd show you a little painting that is so simple that even if you've never painted, you can do this one, guaranteed.
Okay, Bob,
in fact,
let's find out.
Paintings that you see in the opening. I thought maybe we'd show you how that one was done. So I'll tell you what, let me show you what I've got up here. Today I just have a plain old double prime canvas and I painted it with black gesso and allowed the black gesso to dry completely. So it's totally dry.
I have that.
We're going to start out today and we'll just use a paper towel that I've wadded up here.
Wadded up paper towel.
Take gesso, we'll use black, white, and gray gesso in different combinations up here. And I'll show you how to make a little back painting and then we'll come back and I'll put a canvas up that has a finished gesso painting on it, and I'll show you how to color it.
Thank you, Bob.
It's harder to tell you than it is to show you. So we'll just take our little paper towel, and I've just got a little plastic tray here that I picked up, and I'm just going to dip a paper towel, see, right into a little bit of gesso, and let's go right up here. First thing we want to do is figure out where our light source is.
Where's our light source?
Maybe it's right here.
Maybe it's right there.
Off center. Start with the lightest area and begin working outward. See? Maybe this is a joy of paper towel painting. There. But you want this to be your brightest area in the painting. So we just start from there and we work outward. Outward, outward, outward. There. Isn't that fantastic? These colored gessos are just unbelievable. They do wonderful things for you. They open whole new doors of imagination. There we go. A little bit more. Notice I always start back in the center with that brightest color. And if you get little buildups of gesso here, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. When the painting's finished, those little high points will grab the paint and it makes beautiful things happen. Don't fight with them. All right. A little bit more. And wherever. And if you do 1,000 of these, each one of them will be different. But what's so great about them, once again, even if you've never painted a painting in your whole life, this is one that you can do.
Okay,
Recently,
Bob.
we had our teacher's reunion. We had a gentleman with us, Mike Gorak, who had never painted in his whole life. And he works with a paint company. So we got that rascal up in front of all these certified instructors from all over the world. And we had Mike paint his first painting. And he did a beautiful job. And this is the one that he painted. There. So I wanted to share that with you. Okay, a little bit over in here. And once again, with this gesso, we don't make any mistakes. Because if you paint an area too light and you don't like it, all you have to do is take a little of the dark gesso and go back over it. It's no big deal.
Well, now you lost me, Bob.
Something about like that. That's all we're looking for.
I need a little bit of dark gesso.
All right. A little bit of the gray here and there, because I want this to be a little darker out on the edges. So that it looks like we have sunlight in the center and it's working out. I'm just using a little bit of the gray gesso. Right over the top. See? So if you don't like it, if it's too bright or too dull, you can change it that easy. Because this really is your world, and here you can do anything.
And In here you can do anything.
Now normally, if I was at home doing this, I would allow this to dry. Didn't take but a few minutes since this is gesso. I'd allow it to dry before I started the next thing. But here we don't have that luxury, so I'll just show you how you go about putting the next layer on. We'll just pretend that it's dry. But when you're doing this yourself, I'd really recommend you allow this stuff to dry completely before you do the next one. It's just a little bit easier to do.
Okay, so we're going to pause.
Now, this take...
And we're going to let this dry. And I will be back when it's dry. Okay, so we're not completely dry, but that's okay. It's mostly dry.
It's a very complicated tool. This is called a foam brush. That's all it is. It's just a little disposable foam brush. Now, where we have a light area, I'm going to use gesso.
Where are my foam brushes?
The dark area, I'll use white gesso and gray. And
I forgot about the foam brushes, guys. 1 second. I know that I have a foam brush or 20 somewhere. Okay, I'm gonna pause, search. I'll be right back. Okay, disaster averted, you guys. I found the foam brushes. I totally forgot about needing those in this painting.
I want to graduate the color. That's all we're doing.
We're gonna graduate the color.
So let's start and do some little background trees. I'll take this little foam brush and go through a little bit of the black gesso. Just load it up. It doesn't really matter.
Just load it up.
Something about like so. Okay, so we have both sides with a little bit of black on. I hope that shows. And we go up in here and we have to make our first major decision. Where up here does our tree live? All you do is touch, and as you work down, apply more pressure, and automatically your tree trunk will get larger toward the base.
Huh.
And trees normally look better if they're bigger on the
Thank you for
bottom.
making that look super simple, Mr. Ross.
Something about like so. So you just put in as many or as few trees as you want in your world. That's all there is to it. It's really all there is to it.
He's so much faster than I am. I just need a little more paint, you guys, and I don't want to get too far behind.
And I'm going to start going into some of the gray gesso. Because these over here, they're farther away from the light. So when we're done, the gray gesso will be a little bit brighter. And we can go right into pure white. There. See the variation? That's all there is to it. Maybe we'll just do a couple of white ones here so you can see how they're done. We painted the whole forest here in just a second.
I'm making
But
some
that's
gray.
really all there is to it. You just sort of work back and forth and wherever you want it to go. Maybe over here on this side. Maybe there's a little tree that's got a yonk in it.
It's got a yonk in it.
Trees aren't all straight. Some of them have old crooked areas. It doesn't matter. Back into our gray and our white. Same basic thing. The farther you get away from the light source, the lighter you want these to become.
Okay, so on the back of the cup, my trees
The gray there
will be lighter.
when we apply oil color over the top of this dry gesso. Then all of this makes
I'm going to use a different
makes
brush
sense.
for the white.
Now I've got a little script liner brush. It's just our regular script liner.
Script
brush.
liner, I need you to pause for the script liner,
And
Bob.
I'm gonna add water.
I just got to get a couple more trees in here, you guys. Woo, he's quick. He's also not working on a curved surface. So, I got one up on you there, Bob. I think he'd be real proud of how I'm mixing my paints, though. Okay. I think we're comfortable with those trees. Let's grab our little script liner brush he's talking about here.
Use water like we normally do, paint thinner, just to thin the gesso.
Okay.
So it's nice and thin.
A little water.
And we go up in here, and we can decide there's always little baby trees living amongst all these big ones. So we can put little delicate trees and sticks and twigs.
Oh.
If you have enough water, this will just slide right over it.
I don't have enough water.
There. And we can begin applying all kinds of little limbs and arms on these trees. Wherever you think they should live. It's exactly where they should be. There we go. See that? Already it's beginning to look like it's deep in the woods. You know what's neat when you're done with these? Some people look at it and they like the black and white gesso version as well as they do the colored version that what you end up with.
You guys, Bob Ross is no joke.
This is an excellent way to study value, just black and white. When I was a young pup and went to art school, this is one of the things they had us do to learn to paint. We would take something like textbook paints just in black and white. And we had to do entire paintings, so we understood value. This is a lot more fun and a lot easier. There we go. And back in here, well, pretty soon you don't even know where these little limbs and arms, who they belong to. Didn't know that it matters. It's just filler for the background. And I'm not going to sit here and paint each and every one of these trees. I just want you to see basically how these trees are done. Something like so. And as you work across over into here and you get into the white trees, then you'll use white gesso to make its arms. Not my cat. I'll put a few on this old tree here, just a crookedy limb. Just so we can see what he looks like. There. And give your trees character. Don't just make them perfectly straight with arms that come out both sides. Let your brush just have an imagination all on its own.
Oh, it does, Bob. It does.
And as you play with this, you'll begin to shade areas. By that I mean you'll take a combination of the gray and white and mix it together, and you can shade the side of trees where you know light will be coming from. It's unreal what you can do with this. You can actually paint things like little barns or whatever.
No, Bob, it's
gesso,
unreal what
just
you can
put an
do
oil
with
glaze
this.
basically over the top of them. It's that easy.
You guys, it's that easy.
Let me just do one or two little white ones so you can see how they're done. Over here on this side.
Okay.
So you can
I'm going to keep working on the branches all the way around because he's way faster than me. And then I'm going to come back with the next step. Alrighty, so before I start Bob back up again, I am catching up to where he was because he moves so fast, you guys. He's so good at this. So I have gone into my gray, my white, my black. In the front part of it, the trees are darker. The sides, they go to gray, and on the back, they go to white. So I have watered down some of my white, and I'm just going in on the lighter colored trees, and I'm wisping out some branches, just like Bob said to do. I'm letting my brush decide what, where, and when. So I'm not taking this too seriously. I'm not worried about any mistakes that I might make. I just want the branches to have a little bit of character, go a little bit lighter on these ones in the back. Taking them through the other trees because that's how branches work. They don't stop because there's another tree in the way, they keep going. And if you guys have never followed a Bob Ross tutorial, I strongly suggest that you do it. It's actually quite rewarding, even if what you end up creating is a hot mess. Okay, so those are my trees in the back. Now he was talking about when I paused it, going in with the lighter colors on some of the darker trees. So that's going to mean using the gray on the black trees. So I'm going to start on the black, and I know this isn't playing, but it's just because I'm catching up to where he is. Can you guys see that? I'm going into the black trees, and I am going to do some of this highlighting that he's talking about. Just to make the trees have a little bit more dimension and character. Layers upon layers upon layers. Now those same highlights, as you go around and get into the gray and whatever, those highlights are going to get lighter as you go, by what Bob says. So I'm really just trying to whip this out really quick to give some of these trees a little bit of depth. This one's got a wonk in it. Is that what he called it? I thought that was super funny. Okay, I'm just taking, I see a branch here that kind of looks a little off to me, so I'm taking that one up a little more. The wonk in this specific tree, it needs some bigger branches to make that make sense. Okay, I'm going to go in and lighten up my gray just a little bit with white. I'm going to do the same thing on these gray trees. Just give them some dimension and some love. So you guys can see there. And then I'm going to go in directly into the white. And on these white trees back here, I'm just going to put a little bit of that highlight. Okay, now let's see where Mr. Bob is on this painting. Open.
A little more of my water here. There we go. Now if you use your good liner brush for this, as soon as you're done, wash it. Well, with good amount of water. Because your little liner brush, if you let that gesso get hard in it, you've ruined your brush.
You've ruined your brush.
I don't want you to have to go buy a new
Preach, Bob, preach.
There. Take care of your brushes and they'll last for many, many years. Another little thing that's real good. Have some limbs coming from over here where you don't know where they are. They're back over there somewhere.
Well,
because the trees didn't just stop right there.
No, they didn't. They went all the way around the cup.
Come from over here. It doesn't matter from where. But it'll make your painting look more realistic. Some little sticks and twigs.
Just adding a few more little
gray gesso here and there to make some gray arms. But isn't that neat how you can make a whole forest that easy? And that's all there is to it. As I say, I'm not going to just spend the whole time period that we have here showing you just how to do background trees. And the one that you see in the little opening, there's one big monster tree. And we can go back to our little foam brush, put some black gesso on it. And let's go back up in here. And I just use the foam brush to do this. Just figure out where he lives and go, gotta make all those noises and put a big old tree.
We gotta put a big old tree in this.
Right there. I wanted him to come right across. There.
My trees are kind of
But these little disposable foam brushes work
closer
very good
together
for this.
than Bob's trees. So I'm not gonna do my
There's
monster
these
tree like
little
he's
arm
doing
ribs out here,
because,
one over here. We don't.
well,
Wherever you want them.
let's turn
And
this
you go back to your little liner brush, and once again, you can add all the details
into the
that
monster
you
tree.
want.
If you make the
All the
noises.
details you want. I'm just going to put a few in to show you how they're done. Because when you do yours, you're going to see it totally different, and it's going to be better. It's going to be much better than this one.
Oh, Bob,
Because you'll
if
have
you only
unlimited
knew.
time and patience, and your imagination is probably better. So you'll make beautiful things. And when you're doing these, I
Okay.
want that transparent color over this pretty soon. Try all different.
I'm back to my liner brush like Bob is.
Transparent and semi-transparent color.
Super fast.
Makes beautiful, beautiful things. Now, down here on the bottom, we're going to put some little indications. You can do it with a paper towel. I'll just use this little foam brush. Think where the light's coming through. I'm just going to take a little foam brush
Okay.
and just touch. Just touch. You can do it with anything. See there? Just gesso. Just white
I need
gesso.
some more
We're going into
gesso.
some gray gesso. But I want the edges to be nice and bright. There, see? Maybe over here on the other side. Just a little bit more of that. To sort of bring all this together. It's up to you where you want these things to live. Back into the gray so it gets a little duller.
Oh, it's dull.
Here and there we can even take a little black. Just play these back and forth. So you get all these beautiful variations. There, maybe right in there. Whatever, doesn't matter. But you can use the brush any way you want to, sideways,
Much
straight
harder on
on.
the cup.
And each way will create new and unique, different effects. A little more of this gray. Maybe right in there, like that. And maybe we want to put a little path in there. I'm using a little black and a little gray mixed together here. Figure out where your path lives. And just take this little foam brush and basically lay it in. See there? That's all. That's all.
Really,
Just like
Bob?
when we're normally painting, we need to lay that path down in there a little bit. So we put a bush over here on this side. Just like so. I want the front of it to be darker than up there because it would be closer to the light source.
Okay, let me do this. Let me do this little path here.
I like
Let's
it.
do this path.
Okay, I think that'll pretty much show us how to do the little background. As I say, I would let it dry between each and every layer. Now, I want to show you the completed painting. So I went ahead and I've got a canvas here that's all dry that I've prepared exactly the same way. So allow me to step in front of this for just a second and change this canvas and put
Well, Bob.
one that's already finished.
So that means we pause, we let this guy dry, and we come back and finish with Bob. Okay, you guys, I have pounced and patted and swiped on so much paint onto this cup that it's going to take a good few minutes to dry. So I'm going to set it up in front of a space heater. I'm going to put it on my turner and put it in front of a space heater. I can talk. And I will come back in just a few minutes and finish up the second part of the video. So we can go ahead and get this part of the video uploaded for you guys. Stay tuned for the next part. I will continue through and finish this cup with a coat of epoxy. That's not one of Bob Ross's steps, but we're cup makers, so we're gonna need that step. As well as figuring out exactly how I'm going to do his colored part. I'm not exactly sure how I want to execute that yet, so I have a few minutes to plan that, and then we will be back and finish this up.